Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. It is S&L Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Subscribe on all podcast platforms. Type in Locker, Stoots, Texans. We got you covered every day, 9 a.m., including on Thanksgiving. We're going to do a little bit of hackage here, Texans style. The Texans did return to the practice field yesterday. Will Anderson did not practice. Jimmy Ward, he is clearly going to be a nickel guy, though. Jimmy Ward is going to be playing nickel. Very good in this role a couple of years ago. Very good, quite frankly, from what we've seen from him in the short time that he's done it. He got a touchdown and he was all over the line of scrimmage. But that was the biggest news yesterday, is that we now have a new yet familiar role for Jimmy Ward as they look to replace Jalen Petrie.
Yeah, Will Anderson was handing out turkeys earlier this week. He didn't look like he was hurt too bad. I do wonder which practice is more important, since they're getting a lighter Thursday than usual. So I do wonder if maybe Wednesday or Friday ends up a little bit more important. I'm not super worried about Will Anderson in this one. And Jimmy Ward at nickel means Eric Murray at safety, and figure out a way to hide him, just like you hide the green stuff on your plate because you don't want to eat any greens at Thanksgiving.
I think you do want to eat greens. Green bean casserole, elite. Peas, elite.
Pass.
Plain green beans, elite.
Pass.
Broccoli, elite. Broccoli with cheese, beyond elite. Brussels sprouts, elite. There's a lot of good green stuff, my friend.
Who the hell are you, the Jolly Green Giant?
Green onions on anything, it's good. Even
onions.
Green onions are great, man. You put some green onions on there, it's serious, man.
Garnish is what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of good green dishes, my friend. Maybe you don't want the green. I'll take the green.
You get into plenty of green.
I do.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Including today. Including today.
Well, what better way to get a third meal than to feel like you need a third meal?
Just kind of chill. Just sitting on the couch watching football. But the Texans head into this week against the Jags. What are your feels on this game? I thought the Lions game felt weird in the Texans' favor. I thought that the Titans game felt weird in the Titans' favor. This one, it's interesting because I actually am starting to develop kind of a theory. And you know how I am with theories. They can be dangerous. They can be very hit or miss. You're already rolling your eyes like a jackass. But my theory with the Jags is there's two things that I think could potentially go their way. One, I think, is self-explanatory, and that's that they're coming off of the bye and they've made in-house changes. Doug Peterson has. That's one thing. The other one, and remember last week's was maybe the Titans want to win it for Amy Adams Stank, and they confirmed that they wanted to do that. So that kind of outlandish theory ended up kind of playing out. But I'd wonder, like, as Doug Peterson's on the hot seat and as the Jags are one of the more disappointing teams in the league, I wonder if they would almost want to, or put a little extra in trying to make the Texans this year's version of them last year, where Doug Peterson is on the hot seat. He probably doesn't want to be fired. Last year was a monumental collapse by the Jags. They went damn near a year without winning a ball game. And I wonder, as they look at the Texans and they see that the Texans right now, they're at least showing like warning signs of falling apart and being just like them. If you can almost like justify and misery loves company type, like take a little extra satisfaction in using the advantages you already have and kind of putting in then that company to where it's like, it's not as far-fetched as you think. Look at what's happening to the Texans. That's the DeMeco Ryans isn't going anywhere. CJ Stroud's a really good young quarterback. They're doing exactly what we did, Mr. Khan.
Here's what I'm worried about with Jacksonville is something called a dead cat bounce.
Okay.
This is a Wall Street term where a company rebounds right before they fall apart and basically go nowhere. That's where the Jaguars are primed for a dead cat bounce. Coming off the bye week, changes in the building, Lawrence is back. They upset the Texans and then probably lose out the rest of the way. Doug Peterson gets fired, but you're always going to have that dead cat bounce game against the Texans. They are primed for that. And the Texans have been on the losing end of some dead cat bounces over the course of their history. It just, I don't, look, I don't want to put too much on a late season AFC South game against a 2-9 team, but if you win, it does basically nothing for me. And if you lose, the sky is freaking falling.
Yeah, I think it does a lot for you though, because you get the magic number down to 2, worst case scenario. But I think your theory is funny because it seems like a lot of restaurants kind of do that, where it's like, all right, we're going to go out of business, so we're going to have one last hoorah, and it's like, why weren't they bringing it like this the whole time? Like,
yeah, like right
where were
before
these specials at? When did y'all start getting creative in the kitchen? When did y'all like start getting less stingy? And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this could be a good place. Closed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just right. Yeah, unload the inventory so they don't have to take too much of a loss. Get that last little bit there. Yeah, that's where it feels like Jacksonville is right now. Is potential dead cat bounce. I don't know that they necessarily want that. Like if the fan base probably doesn't want that. This feels very
one.
Yeah, they want that first overall pick and hopefully a new general manager, I'm sure, to make that selection. Yeah, for the Texans, I mean, you lose this one and you could still win the AFC South.
Yeah, great chance.
You still have a really good chance because the Colts would have to be basically perfect down the stretch to catch you. But man, it would be a really uncomfortable bye week if they went into the bye week with a loss to Jacksonville. And if they beat the Jaguars, you're supposed to do that. So but we know over at NRG Stadium, one win cures everything. Because they beat the Cowboys and all of a sudden they could play with anybody until Tennessee came to town and kicked their teeth in.
Yeah, that is like the win is the cure. And I do think it's very valuable heading into the bye for a number of reasons, but it's just I do wonder if there's like a little extra oomph from the Jags to kind of
they want to play spoiler. They want to play spoiler.
Yeah, and they kind of want to justify their existence. It is S&L, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots here with you. So we're going to do a little bit of Thanksgiving hackage here on S&L. Texans things that you are thankful for. What are you thankful for when it comes to the Houston Texans? I feel like we've been talking about some bad things the last few weeks about the Texans, but when it comes to the Texans, it can be short term, it can be long term, whatever. It can be random. What are you thankful for when it comes to the Texans?
I'm thankful for this defensive line being so much fun to watch and being so good. I mean, just Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, when they get to the quarterback, there's some guys that get there and, you know, it's pretty rudimentary. It's not that exciting when they get to the quarterback and, oh, there's a sack. It feels like Hunter and Anderson, it feels like they demolish quarterbacks. Like Danielle's one of his sacks last week, he like kind of slung Will Levis down. He's like torpedoed some of the rookie quarterbacks that they've played over the course of the season. He got Drake May and Caleb Williams. Will Anderson's speed. Like, I just love watching this defensive line. That's the outside guys. The interior has been really good. I'm really thankful this defensive line is as fun, as good as it is to watch. So that's probably the top of my Texans thankful list, especially on the defense.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay on the defense. I'm going to talk about this young secondary, all the talent that you have with the young secondary. You know, this previous offseason, you went into the offseason and you said, you know, you need to fix the D line. You just said that fixed, and you need to fix the secondary. And I think you've gotten another young corner to pair with Derek Stingley that's going to be very good in Kamari Lassiter. And you found Kalen Bullock, who looks like he's going to be a long-term safety. Who knows what you do with the other safety? But I'm thankful for the young talent they have on defense. I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful for how DeMeco Ryans handles defense. It is his specialty. Now, I don't know if he knows, you know, what he's doing on offense, and I don't know if that's something that you should feel great about, but I am thankful for the young guys on defense. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. I'm thankful that Nico Collins improved on his impressive year last year and did not turn into a one-hit wonder. It's fun to watch him play too. He's been incredible for this team. He's the second most important non-quarterback on the team, and he just continues to build on it. And 1 year, I hope we get 17 games of Nico Collins, because I feel like that could be a really, really impressive season start to finish. We get 17 games of Nico Collins 1 year.
Yes, that's a big if, though. I'm thankful for the ability for this front office to pivot. I think they do a really good job of pivoting in many different ways. And some people will say, well, that wasn't your first. No, I mean, I think pivoting is important. Like sometimes you get bailed out, sometimes things play out, but I think the specific example of it this year is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was not your first plan, and you were trying to get Saquon. And as soon as Joe Mixon, it was obvious he was going to become available, you proactively went out there and brought in Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon has added a hell of a lot to this football team. Who knows where you would be without him? If I were filling out a ballot for MVP of the offense or offensive player of the year, Joe Mixon would get my vote at the moment. So and we go between Nico and Joe. But as far as performance, I think that those would be the two guys. I thought it was a good pivot. And I also think Tim Settle is another example of that as well. So I'm thankful for this front office's ability to, when life hands you lemons, find you a Mixon or a Tim Settle, whatever the hell that is. They know how to make do, and they know how to adjust, and they know how to pivot.
I hope a year from now we're talking about their ability to pivot from their offensive line.
Well, they didn't set out to do that. So, I mean,
Sure,
we'll see what happens when they actually set out to do that.
This one's going to sound backhanded when I say it, and I don't intend it to be this way.
Passive-aggressive Cody in the house. Happy Thanksgiving, passive-aggressive Cody. And I know all you have your passive-aggressive relatives. You're going to start off your Thanksgiving with passive-aggressive Cody.
I'm thankful the Houston Texans play in the AFC South.
Oof. Hey.
Because
I think that's
most other divisions, this would not be much of a fun season. There's still some hope. There's still some, hey, make the playoffs, get in the dance. Let's see what happens. But, yeah, I'm thankful they're in the AFC South. That's one of the things I'm thankful for on this Texans team.
I'm thankful for the fire, man. Whether it's questioning what we say, developing topics, all that. I'm thankful that the fire is here. And it seemed like there were a lot of crushed spirits a few years ago. But I like the fire. I like the passion. I don't care whether you were wearing a David Johnson jersey and staying loyal the whole time, or whether you're here. I like the fire when it comes to this this community and the Texans fan base and the fire and the standard that appears to be there.
Yeah, if that fire and desire to see more of this team wasn't there right now, you might have had checkout already. I mean, there was definitely a lot of reasons to check out a couple of seasons ago, but I think the strong finish last year also gives people a little bit of hope here down the stretch as well with this Texans team too.
Speaking of fire, biggest Texans table arguments, disagreements. Now, I don't think you can say the fourth quarter offense, because I think most people are frustrated with that. I actually think that's kind of like that's like an olive branch to any argument that may be going on around the table. But if you took the Houston Texans community and you put them around a Thanksgiving table, we know there are a lot of things that start arguments at Thanksgiving tables. We know politics is probably the number one that we're hearing about this year, all that. There can be past whatever. But what are the biggest Texans Thanksgiving table arguments, disagreements, like as divided as possible?
I feel like there's a lot of people divided on, has CJ Stroud been good enough this season?
Yes, that's number one. That is number one.
I feel like there's a lot of that. There's some that, hey, sophomore slump, he's not who he was last year. There's some, hey, sophomore slump, he'll be back. There's some, hey, the stats are the same as last year. DJ, I think, very eloquently said.
Dude, that was a great answer today. He
said
yesterday, I should say. It was yesterday.
He said you wouldn't want to stay the same year to year. And then he used a fantastic waterfall analogy that if a waterfall stays stagnant, it gets like algae buildup and stuff. It was fantastic. It's great stuff from CJ.
Yeah, I mean, the guy recited his stats and said, you said that you're not playing up to the standard and your stats are the same as last year. And CJ's like, well, do you want to be the same each year? Like, I thought it was awesome, man. Like he's a real joy at the podium, CJ Stroud. But I do think that's a disagreement. Like, is CJ Stroud playing well?
And then there are some people that just say it's not his fault. Like it's the coordinator's fault. It's the O-line's fault. It's the lack of weapons fault. And I listened to all the arguments on this one. I think there's evidence for all of them.
Yeah, they can all be heard, which brings me to the next biggest Texans table argument here on S&L. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. The offensive line versus Bobby Slowik.
Yes.
And this one just gets brought into no matter what. Like if you're talking bad about the offensive line, they're criticizing Bobby Slowik. If you talk bad about Bobby Slowik, how can you talk about Bobby Slowik as the offensive line? Offensive line versus Bobby Slowik. I understand both sides of this one. This is kind of one of those where I'm just sitting there probably at the dessert, because usually the arguments kind of intensify as like the Bloody Marys get going or the vodka or the beers or whatever. This is where I'm kind of making my second dessert round, and I'm just sitting there kind of scooping up pecan pie, watching Uncle Texans fan argue with cousin Texans fan, just sitting there. But Bobby Slowik versus the offensive line. This is a big divider. This is a someone might leave. Hey, honey, go get your stuff. We're out of here. That's how intense this argument is.
Yeah, exactly. Who it's the chicken or the egg of the offensive ineptitude. Is it Bobby's fault the O-line's not any good, or is it the O-line's fault that Bobby's not any good?
I think that's a big argument. Another argument, tear down the Astrodome. I think most people agree that it's kind of in the way right now, but maybe your old grandpa or your boomer uncle might want to just keep it around for whatever reason, even though Yankee Stadium and all these other stadiums are torn down. Just leave that big piece of metal right there in the middle of NRG. Tear it down or not.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. Don't want to keep that around. I think there is it's a smaller argument. Like you maybe hear it like a murmur at one of the smaller tables. Like, yeah, is John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson any good? Like some people think they're good, not getting opportunities. Some people think they're not any good. A little small murmur argument.
Now, if you want to unite your table though, and you want everyone to just kind of chill out and you want to find something that everyone can agree on, I think there's one thing that I think most of the Texans community sitting around that imaginary Thanksgiving table can agree on.
What's that?
The O-line stinks.
Yeah.
That can get things going right away. Like as soon as they're arguing about the, I'll just say, yeah, the O-line stinks. No one's gonna disagree with that.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So 3 Texans that you would want to invite to your Thanksgiving feast. And before we get to this, I got to say this. I had a bone to pick in the locker room yesterday. Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward had a big play the other day, the pick 6. And as a result, Applebee's, they put it on social media. It's like a pick 6, and then it shows Jimmy Ward's order. And he ordered the wings because people get free wings. He ordered 6 wings, buffalo, with blue cheese. That was Jimmy Ward's go-to. Had to take exception with him.
What?
Here was what Jimmy Ward had to say about this blue cheese.
I wanted to ask you about this. A little bit of a bone to pick with you. Applebee's, I saw you put your order in for the play of the week. Blue cheese over ranch? You go blue cheese over ranch?
Lately, I have been going blue cheese over ranch.
Why?
I don't know. I ordered it one time and they made a mistake because I wanted ranch, and then I started eating it and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. So ever since then, blue cheese.
Okay.
Landry, how many books about nutrition have you written?
0.
Okay.
That would be 0.
Although I don't know. Shout out to Ari Alexander, KPRC2. And Jimmy Ward does have, if you're a child, you're looking for a Christmas gift. That was nice job by Ari right there. He wrote a child's book about nutrition, Jimmy Ward. So
there we go. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. He wrote a children's book about kids eating healthy, which actually is a very good cause, by the way. Like I think that's cool. But blue cheese and ranch, I don't think there's any like health gap there. This isn't like mayo versus mustard. But shout out to Ari. I won't hold it against Jimmy though, because he still makes my three Texans and coming to the Thanksgiving feast. Number 1, I'll get mine first. Jimmy Ward, come on down. I think Jimmy Ward would be awesome. Number 2, I think he's going to be on your list. Tim Settle, come on down. You're the next contestants. And then number 3 on the Thanksgiving feast. I've only spoken to him once. Just feel like there's a lot of good information there. I feel like he would just like sitting there and posting up and watching a nice old school football triple header. Jared Patterson is my third. Jared Patterson is my guy right now. I am bringing the center, Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson, come on down.
That's great. That's a good list. That's a very good list. Tim Settle definitely was on mine. Here's what you know you're getting with Tim Settle. He's got stories. He's going to keep the entertainment high. He's going to party with everybody. And then I think that Tim Settle's probably going to look around and be like, you know what? Let's take this party up a notch. If you want to go with me to wherever we're going to party, come with me. So he's going to take the party elsewhere. So if you want to take the party off site, Tim Settle's got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's one.
Yeah.
I know without a shadow of the doubt that CJ Stroud could crush Thanksgiving Grace.
Oh, so you want CJ to come just to say grace?
I want CJ because I know I'm gonna hand over saying grace to him and let him bless all the food, and that's gonna be excellent.
You just don't want to pray. So your list is
no.
Pray. That's Cody Stoots doesn't want to say the prayer. There you go. You're not a leader.
I am a leader. I'm just saying I feel like in that spot he's gonna lead better than I would. Okay. Really good leaders know different
spots. So can he stay for dinner, or are you just making him pray and leave?
Please stay.
Because I thought you were enjoying his company. You just saying you want him to pray. So that's what you're good for.
He's coming to Thanksgiving, and then we can show him all the various Southern Thanksgiving things that he's missed out on in his life.
Okay.
And then my last one is I'm going to invite Bobby Slowik.
Whoa.
Because I know he's not going to stay the whole time. He'll leave about halfway through. And it's going to be great while he's there.
Played, man.
It's going to be great while he's there. Or he'll just go take a nap in the other room. Just like, where's Bobby?
Well played, man.
Where's Bobby?
Very nicely done.
Thank you.
Very nicely done.
Thank you.
Now, let's not bury the lead here, though, Cody. What are you having for Thanksgiving? Let's be real. What are you having? What kind of turkey? You frying? You smoking? I got one smoking downstairs right now. I just put it in. I'm putting it at 8:00. It's gonna be ready about 3, right after the first game. So I already got mine going, brother.
We have tried 15 different turkeys over the years. We've done the smoked, we've done the deep fried. One year we did Martha Stewart's spatchcock turkey recipe, which was great. We did like a Peruvian turkey one time or something like that. My mom knew some lady at work and got a recipe. It was great.
Sounds awesome.
We're not even doing turkey this year.
Oh wow, no turkey, huh?
We're doing chicken fried steak, white cream gravy, rolls, carrot souffle, and corn ribs.
What are corn ribs?
You take the ear corn, you split it, you cut it up into little like smaller pieces, and then you air fry it, and they curl up like a rib.
Curls up like a rib?
Yeah, and you just eat them.
As opposed to corn on the cob?
It's a totally different flavor profile and texture.
I will say your mom can cook chicken fried steak, so I'll give you. It's up there. It's up there.
To me, it's
like a professional cook. Like it ain't no joke.
It's the best non-dessert thing she makes.
Yeah, chicken fried steak's pretty serious, man.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
You go
corn ribs are just being hipsters, though.
Well, we had them. We had them.
It's funny how you describe it too. It's you sound like Bobby Slowik describing the offense. You're like, yeah, and it's crazy. You cook it and you can actually like hold it and eat it like a rib. You mean like corn on the cob?
It's a different texture and a different flavor profile.
The sales pitch should be that the flavor, not you can actually hold it like a rib, like corn on the cob.
Yeah,
you got to admit that was a bad sales pitch.
I'm not saying it was a good sales pitch.
Yeah, you got to admit that was a bad sales pitch, man.
I'm not saying it was a good sales pitch. You're right. And then she homemade a 2-layer red velvet cake.
2-layer red velvet cake. That's a lot, dude. That sounds like a lot of effort. Are you worried about Aaron Wilson asked the question about guys?
This was actually,
I actually think it's a good question. I actually think it's a good question. If you eat a lot on Thanksgiving, sometimes you got that coma, man. Sometimes you got that coma. It's like back in all-star baseball years. And I'm not going touchdown Bundy. I'm just saying, like, they tell you not to swim during the summer. They're like, don't swim, don't swim, don't swim, don't swim. Everybody breaks that rule.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think there's like a hey, watch what you eat? Do you think, or is it just like whatever?
I mean, if you were the Chiefs and you were playing on Black Friday against the Raiders, you got to be careful. You can't be sluggish the next day. Surely everybody's got enough that they can, flush it, get it out of their system, get to Jacksonville, play a football game.
I don't know, man.
How much do you think Nick Caserio hates Thanksgiving food?
Oh, well, he doesn't eat anything. Like he said, he'll have a little cranberry and like a little turkey without anything on it. Caserio's his thing. Caserio at practice yesterday was, he kind of seemed like he was focusing on the offense quite a lot. I'm sure he always does.
He kind of roams, man.
Yeah, he roams, but I was just maybe I'm just.
Did he have eyes on a certain member of the offensive staff?
I wonder what Caserio thinks about it. Because Nick ran an offensive, and we appreciate everyone for coming through. That's the Thanksgiving hackage portion of the show. Nick he was used to another system, and we wondered like what that was going to look like. So this is, I don't want to say he's learning, and I'm sure he could probably like summarize every damn offense and every concept in the world, but this is kind of weird to him, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, Belichick wasn't afraid to make changes with his offensive staff from time to time, so he's been around when some guys have made some tough decisions.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the bye goes. You actually thought that press conference with Slowik was
kind of felt like hey, we're doing pretty good, right? Yeah.
Do you think the offense is better this year than last, like he said?
There's literally no statistical proof that they're better than last year.
Yeah, how did he shape his lips to say that?
Hold on, I have it right in front of me. Last year they were 13th in points per game. This year they're 12th. Last year they were 16th in red zone touchdown percentage. This year they're 19th. Last year on third downs, 20th. This year 22. Last year passing yards, 8. This year 15. Rushing yards, 28. This year 20. Second half points last year 14. This year 26th. Like that, it's almost the same.
Yeah, which isn't good.
And then you played a better competition, and it's not looked as good.
And you were shuffling O-line.
And you were shuffling the O-line last year. Yeah, the two things that are drastically different than last year's team is their ability to protect the quarterback. They went from middle of the pack to one of the worst, and their ability to perform in the second half. They went from middle of the pack to one of the worst.
Yeah, I'm confused by that.
But hey, if you're trying to explain why you should keep your job, you would have to say it's better than last year.
Yeah, there were a few things, with Bobby, and I'm kind of have like some sympathy for the reality of the offensive line, but that was kind of interesting to say the least.
Quite the statement.
And then DeMeco didn't want to admit that this one might be pretty important either. He didn't want to admit it, man.
It's you know what? Hey, games aren't won or lost at the podium, but they can certainly instill some confidence behind the microphone, and they don't feel like they did a good job of that.
Yeah, I don't think they take those press conferences as like, I don't want to say you should take them serious, but I mean, you're talking to fans, right? Like that's the voice of the fans. That's where the interest is. I'm not going to sit here and say they're the reason that you do. No, I mean, obviously, but like, I think there's a balance between players and fans that can be healthy to where doesn't have to be like some paranoia. I think those press conferences are a good way to get a message out to the fans. Yeah, instead of kind of shutting them out. I think that I've always said that, DeMeco's press conferences were great. Like back in the day, I think he's kind of, I think they need a break. They need a bye week and stuff, but
yeah, schedule makers did them no favors. 3 prime timers, couple of division games, and then the bye week with, then they got just 4 weeks left in this thing. Like that didn't do them any favors.
There's kind of like a lean like towards, I don't want to call it defensive, but like not saying too much. And I think it just kind of, when you got fans that live this stuff, maybe a little bit of something, especially when you acknowledge that the Tennessee game was
It
different.
stuck with you.
Yeah, it was different. Like the routine was broken off there. So does this one kind of increase the importance? But it is what it is. Whatever. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We appreciate y'all for coming through. We appreciate y'all for riding along. Hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner no matter what's happening. Hey, and all you people who have to work today, hey, this is going to be the smoothest driving day of the year for you when it comes to working in Houston. It is beautiful. It is lovely. You enjoy that. Do whatever you got to do. And we respect you and appreciate you as much. Those of you that are going low key, enjoy the low key. Those of you that have big family activities, enjoy the family activities. And there's a lot to be thankful for around here. We're thankful for you. And there's a lot of things to be thankful for when it comes to covering this squad. So always remember, no matter how you celebrate Thanksgiving, no matter what's going down, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, and by eat good, just corn on the cob. Don't
Shut up.